Today's movie is G-Loc 2020, a futuristic sci-fi thriller where Earth is dying under a new ice age. A man named Bran fights to survive in deep space after discovering a dark conspiracy that could destroy the last hope of humanity. But surviving the ship may be harder than saving the world.
On Earth, a new ice age is beginning when a mysterious portal appears in its orbit, leading to another solar system where there is a habitable planet called Rhea. Through the use of probes, scientists discover that 1 Earth year equals 18 years on Rhea. Thousands of humans fleeing cold and hunger travel through the gate to the new planet, but most people are still forced to remain on Earth. When Earth's resources are completely exhausted, a mass migration begins, something the new inhabitants of Rhea do not welcome. Bran Marshall is one of the refugees trying to sneak onto Rhea. However, not far from the destination, the ship he is on is attacked. He and his AI, named Edison, are forced to survive in a rescue capsule. With only a few hours of oxygen left, Edison detects a nearby spacecraft called the Nissa, which is not responding. Edison suggests flying over to it, but doing that will require a sharp acceleration, something extremely harmful to the human body. Fortunately, Bran has a drug that helps with high G-forces, but it needs to be injected straight into the heart. He realizes he has no other choice. Bran starts the countdown. The capsule docks with the ship, but from the extreme G-load, Bran blacks out. He recalls his last days on Earth. Back then, he and his daughter Riley buried his wife, and Riley's mother not far from her father's home. After the funeral ceremony, they return to the grandfather's house. There, the old man is saying goodbye to a neighbor who is complaining about hunger because nothing grows on their farm anymore. Feeling sorry for her, the old man gives her a box of canned food. When she leaves, Bran expresses his anger. He says it's dangerous to show anyone your food supplies these days. He suggests they should leave before the neighbor shares what she learned, but the old man refuses. Back in the present, Bran moves through the ship and activates Edison. They begin searching the nearest compartments. Soon, Bran finds the bodies of dead crew members. He wonders what they could have been fighting over out here in space. A little later, he sees a wall covered with photographs of the crew. He remembers that the people of Rhea considered themselves far superior and more advanced than humans. Before long, Bran discovers supplies of food and medicine, but suddenly Edison warns him about rising radiation. At that exact moment, Bran sees a woman aiming a beam pistol at him. She accuses him of killing the crew. Bran explains that he has only just docked. But the woman, furious, insists that Earthlings deliver supplies to Earth, and this is how they repay them. She's convinced Bran is lying, but Bran tells her if she's so sure, she can kill him right there. Then, without warning, he shoves her and escapes before she can fire.
The woman knows the ship better than Bran does. Before long, she ambushes him in another compartment and knocks him down. Bran pushes her away once again and runs. This time, he manages to reach the medbay and locks the doors right before she can get in. Inside, Bran takes some medicine and notices a pod nearby containing the body of one of the crew members. Next to it is a screen displaying data for the entire crew. Bran searches for information about the hostile woman, but he still can't understand what happened on this ship. Suddenly, he sees the woman breaking into the medbay. Bran hides and waits for the perfect moment. As soon as she enters, he strikes her from behind and knocks her unconscious. Then he escapes, but the woman recovers quickly. She activates the fire suppression system, which starts removing oxygen from the ship's compartments. Bran struggles to breathe. He finds an oxygen pipe and starts breathing directly from it. At that moment, the woman appears again, now wearing an oxygen mask. The two begin fighting. Even though Bran is weak, he still manages to overpower her once more. At the same time, Edison restores the air supply. Leaving the unconscious woman behind, Bran heads toward the bridge. There, he prepares Edison to interface with the ship's control system. But Edison suddenly reveals something surprising. The people of Rhea are completely against artificial intelligence. They believe AI was responsible for Earth's destruction. That means there is no AI system on this ship at all. Even after nearly 600 years of Rhean civilization, they have barely evolved beyond humans. Still, Edison enters the ship's control system. Just then, the woman wakes up and starts pounding on the bridge door. She shouts at Bran not to press the glowing area on the control panel, but Bran refuses to listen. He doesn't understand why the Rheans get to decide who lives on Rhea and who doesn't. After all, they originally came from Earth too. Yet now they shoot down refugee ships and deny their own people access to the same planet. Out of anger, Bran presses the button. An alarm immediately starts blaring. The woman drops to her knees in disbelief. She cannot believe Bran actually activated it. Edison also warns Bran that this impulsive action will have terrible consequences. And right then, increased gravity slams Bran to the floor. Bran flashes back to the past. Realizing he can't convince his father-in-law to leave, Bran goes into the field and digs up a hidden box. Inside is the money he had saved for his daughter Riley, so she could one day leave for Rhea. But Riley refuses to abandon her family. Bran and her grandfather both feel they are too old to start a new life. Suddenly, an alarm sounds outside. Bran immediately orders Riley to hide inside a container. Then he grabs his weapon.
In the present, Bran regains consciousness. Edison explains what happened. The ship's systems were deliberately disabled. Someone destroyed the navigation controls, and after Bran reactivated the engines, it became impossible to shut them down. Once they reach a beacon, the pull of a nearby planetoid will alter their course, causing them to crash directly into the refugee station. That collision would kill hundreds of people. Bran realizes he cannot solve this alone. He opens the bridge door, but the woman immediately attacks him again. This time, Bran overpowers her and ties her to a chair. He accuses her and the Ryans of causing this accident on purpose to wipe out refugees, but she says it was not them. She explains that the Nissa was carrying supplies to the Earthling station. During an inspection, they found undeclared cargo on board. While that investigation was happening, she went into sleep mode. When she woke up, there was gunfire everywhere. The captain, while dying, told her he had shut down the systems. She rushed to the bridge to understand what happened. That's when Bran entered and made everything worse by restarting the engines. Bran insists he only arrived after the attack. Then he remembers the man inside the medbay pod. The woman says his name is Decker. Bran suggests that maybe Decker was the one who killed everyone. The woman finally introduces herself. Her name is OSHA. Bran notices a bracelet on her wrist, one usually worn by criminals. OSHA admits that she has killed Earthlings before. The argument between them grows worse, but Edison interrupts. He reminds them that if they want to survive, they must work together. Edison explains that the ship is moving through a dangerous cluster of space debris. Bran bitterly points out that these wreckagings are probably Earth ships shot down by Ryans, but Edison refuses to let another fight start. He lays out a plan. OSHA will have to enter the engine compartment, where there is a huge breach, and disconnect the engines manually. At the same time, Bran must pull a lever from inside the ship. Only then can they regain control. OSHA agrees and leaves, but not before giving Bran a hateful look. At the same time, Decker suddenly regains consciousness inside the medbay and climbs out of the pod. Meanwhile, OSHA reaches the first engine and disconnects it. Bran warns her over comms that a huge amount of debris is approaching and the breach is dangerously large. They move toward the second engine, but while working, OSHA's oxygen suddenly runs out. She collapses. Bran rushes to help and manages to revive her. Edison then explains the next step. To redirect the ship, both Bran and OSHA will have to operate the engines together in perfect sync. They both grab the joysticks. The ship changes direction, but the G-forces slam them hard. They collapse. Still, it's not over. They force themselves up and perform another maneuver. Again, they are thrown down by the pressure. During the third turn, Bran nearly blacks out. OSHA quickly snaps his dislocated arm back into place. The pain is unbearable, and Bran loses consciousness. He remembers the day when their hungry neighbors came to his father-in-law's house. They had come for the food supplies, the same supplies the old man had revealed earlier. The grandfather tells them to leave, but the neighbor refuses. He says his family is starving, and even his parents have already died. To force them into surrender, the neighbor orders one of his men to find Riley. One of them opens the container where she is hiding. At that moment, Bran and the old man open fire. They kill several of them. Riley runs out in fear. Back in the present, OSHA notices a photo of Riley. Bran tells her that he lost his daughter unexpectedly. OSHA quietly says she also lost her family. She explains that the government of Rhea did not appreciate those who tried helping Earthlings. She doesn't fully understand politics, but she knows many Rheans don't actually hate Earthlings. Many of them believe the refugees should be allowed to come through the gate. Bran admits he never wanted to leave Earth, but he had to. He made a promise to Riley that he would survive. Edison reminds him that surviving means they still have work to do. Now Bran has to enter the navigation bay and replace the burned-out boards. The problem is that the compartment is nearly minus 40 degrees. Bran puts on a survival suit. OSHA laughs at how strange it looks. She says Rhea is always warm, but Bran reminds her that Earth used to be warm too. Bran steps into the freezing section and starts searching for the damaged boards. Meanwhile, Decker secretly wakes up. He begins smashing one of the ship's control switches. OSHA notices and follows him into the corridor. She is shocked, especially because Decker is also one of the migrants. Decker finally confesses the truth. He says the Rheans took his children and threatened to kill them unless he destroyed the refugee station. That's why he sabotaged the ship. It was the perfect plan, an Earthling killing his own people. But to complete it, he still has to kill OSHA. At the same time, Bran finishes his repairs and asks OSHA to open the ship so he can return. But OSHA is busy fighting for her life against Decker. Locked outside and freezing, Bran searches for another way in. He finds another small entrance, but to squeeze through it, he has to remove part of his gear. With the last of his strength, Bran opens the grate and collapses inside. OSHA manages to knock Decker unconscious and rushes to help Bran. She places him inside a medical capsule. Edison reports good news. The navigation systems are almost restored. Once rebooted, the ship can be controlled again.
Sometime later, Bran regains consciousness and steps out of the medical capsule. OSHA tells him everything she learned from Decker. Decker had confessed that the Ryan government was behind this plan. They had forced him to sabotage the ship by threatening his children. Bran immediately suggests they should expose this truth to everyone on Rhea. But before that, they still need to regain full control of the ship. At the same time, Decker wakes up again. Edison suddenly warns them about another major G-force overload approaching. Bran quickly heads to the cargo bay to retrieve the anti-G-force medication. Meanwhile, OSHA starts working on the control system. Edison explains that the ship can be fully restored by disconnecting one of two wires. But there's a problem. He doesn't know which wire is the correct one. That means OSHA will have to guess. If she chooses the wrong one, the life support system will shut down. And if that happens, it will take 3 minutes to reboot. 3 full minutes without oxygen. At the same time, Bran reaches the cargo bay. There he finds the medicine, but he also discovers something terrifying. A large bomb. He immediately realizes Decker planted it. Bran rushes back toward the bridge to warn OSHA, but on the way, Decker attacks him from behind. OSHA is now left alone with the 2 wires. One of them belongs to life support. She hesitates, but there is no time left. She cuts one. Immediately, the oxygen begins shutting down. It was the wrong wire. Now she has to survive 3 minutes without breathing. Meanwhile, Decker apologizes to Bran, but he says he had no choice. He will do anything to save his family. Suddenly, the ship is hit by another wave of intense G-forces. Bran is slammed against the wall, and once again his mind drifts back into the past. He remembers finding Riley, mortally wounded. In her final moments, she gives him Edison, the AI she had created herself. She makes promise one thing, that he will leave Earth and survive. Back in the present, Edison gives OSHA final instructions. He tells her not to die. Bran injects himself with the anti-G serum and prepares for one last fight. Even though Bran is weak and exhausted, he manages to overpower him. Using the last of his strength, Bran defeats Decker and reaches the bridge. Inside, OSHA is barely conscious. She has been holding her breath while waiting for the life support system to restart. Bran quickly gives her the anti-G-force drug. At the same time, Bran remembers the day of Riley's funeral. His father-in-law had told him that he still had a purpose. He reminded Bran of the promise he made to Riley. Maybe, just maybe, he could still change something in this world. That was also the day Bran first activated Edison. Back in the present, Bran and OSHA regained consciousness. Edison explains that there is only one way to restore full control of the ship. They have to reboot the entire system. But doing so will reset Edison to factory settings. That means all of Edison's memories and personality will be erased forever. Bran cannot accept it. Edison has been with him ever since Riley created him. He is the last connection Bran has to his daughter. But Edison says there is no other option. Before the reset, Edison reveals that he has already uploaded Decker's confession video into the ship's system. After the reboot, it will automatically be sent out. Everyone on Rhea will learn the truth about the government's crimes. Maybe then things will finally change. Bran says goodbye to Edison. With heavy emotion, he restarts the system. The ship's controls come back online. The Nissa changes course and moves away from the refugee station. But at that moment, Decker, with the last of his strength, activates the bomb. An alarm sounds immediately. OSHA quickly redirects the ship toward the gate. Bran grabs the bomb and rushes to the airlock. But then he realizes the small airlock will not open. There is only one choice left. He tells OSHA that he has to put on a suit and carry the bomb outside into space. OSHA watches in shock. Bran steps outside with the bomb in his hands. A few moments later, she sees a massive explosion in space. Believing Bran is dead, OSHA is devastated. She mourns his sacrifice. But suddenly, she hears knocking on the viewport. It's Bran. He survived, and he makes his way back onto the ship. Together, Bran and OSHA look at Earth, now completely frozen in ice.
Bran knows there is nothing left for him there anymore. Riley is gone. His family is gone. And the planet he once called home is dying. Now all that remains is the future. Together, Bran and OSHA begin repairing the damaged systems of the Nissa. With Edison gone after the reboot, everything now has to be done manually. It takes time. A lot of time. Months pass as they continue restoring the ship. Slowly, piece by piece, the systems come back online. At the same time, Decker's confession video spreads across the Rian network. The truth is finally exposed. People learn how the Rian government had been secretly sacrificing Earth refugees and using fear to keep them out. This changes everything. For the first time, many Rians begin questioning their leaders. The relationship between humans and Rians starts shifting. The lies can no longer be hidden.